is Scotland, The Drive, with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Scotland, The Drive. Here we are. I'm Ali Bally.
And I'm Alan Douglas, and this is number 13.
I know. This could be interesting.
Goodness.
Yes.
We may or may not get through this. So, what have we been driving?
Well, that's it, you see, because it's number 13, there will be some mistakes and our memories will go, and we'll just put it down to be number 13.
You're saying you can't remember?
I can't remember what we've been driving now. We've been very good, actually. We've been out and about, and I've been with the Mazda CX-5.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing the Mazda, not today, I'll bring on that one, but that's what we've been driving all last week. Lorraine's Lane, she's been out in the Kia, so more of that coming up.
Yeah, K4. I haven't been driving. I've been driving this week, but last week I wasn't driving at all because I was on my holiday.
So where'd you go?
Another holiday. I was in Italy, and I encountered the Carabinieri. And for those of you watching on YouTube, this is a little model of the Carabinieri. The Carabinieri didn't give me this car. I bought this car because, some people come back with fridge magnets from their holidays.
Yes, you come back with cars.
Model car. So I got my wee Carabinieri car.
Very nice.
It's Pronto Intervento.
Very nice. It's even
So
blue lights on the top.
I know, it's lovely. So that's what I came back with.
Just something you mentioned there, it hit a little memory jogger for me because we had the elections in Scotland last Thursday. Yeah. You missed that. That's why you went away on holiday. But we had a situation where STV weren't reporting on anything because they were on strike. And BBC, Martin Geisler, excellent presenter, and he did the politics show starting at 9 a.m, and he stayed on until 6, 7 o'clock at night. It was really good. But a point was made, and it actually hit home with me, where somebody put on saying, Martin Geisler keeps saying, as you can see, there's so-and-so walking past. Now, when I was out driving somewhere and I was listening to Martin Geisler, and I knew what that person was complaining about, because they're saying, we're listening on the radio and we're not seeing anything. So just what we do, and that picked myself up saying, we've got to watch that, because whilst we know some are watching on YouTube, the brave ones, we understand that this is on everything else, or just on audio.
So for those of you who are not on YouTube, this is a little Italian police car, the Carabinieri car. It's blue, it's got red stripes, it's got a white roof, it's got blue lights, and it says Pronto Intervento. Okay?
I would follow that up by saying, if you're not and you haven't watched us on YouTube, then please do, because it's Technicolor. And you get two of us twice.
Oh, God. Right, yeah. Election. Yeah. Now then, I was away. I had a postal vote. So
of course you did.
I voted weeks ago.
You find the elderly do a lot of that, postal votes.
Saves you having to remember polling day. But what do we think about the election result? I don't know. Is it good or bad for the motorist?
For the motorist, I'm not sure, because there are many people who are motorists, and I don't know. It was a funny one, because I got a bit disappointed, without going too much into the politics. I was a bit disappointed in Honest John. John Swinney invited, because he didn't have a majority, and neither did anybody else, but he invited all the political parties to sit down and chat with him, except Reform. And I don't like that, because those who voted Reform have as much say. Surely they had 17 members of MSPs elected, so they should have been invited. So, John, if you're listening, I think you made a bit of a boob there.
Okay, well, we're going to steer away from the politics.
Okay, all right.
Well,
Stirring it.
But what
do you think?
What does it mean for the motorists?
Yeah.
My concern is that, the Greens should be well in there, and we know what they're like. The last time they wanted to do away with cars, wasn't it?
Well, they wanted road building stopped.
Oh, road building stopped,
and that's what exactly happened. That when they came in and got two of their members in the cabinet, road building stopped. The A9 stopped.
So who knows?
Who knows what's in
But
store?
they're probably going to have an influence, and I'm a bit concerned of what that influence might result in. Maybe maybe as a result of that, there'll be more public EV charging. I don't know. I suspect it'll be anti-car. We should all
Yes,
all be on our bikes.
yeah, because we know that it's been happening.
I'll be given free bikes.
Well, instead of their handbags and their school bags,
free puppies, free puppies, and free bikes for everyone.
And whatever happened to the laptops all the kids were supposed to get? Did they get them?
Anyway, so we don't know the election result. Well, we know the result, but we don't know what the effect of that election result might be. But we shall follow it with interest.
Very much so. Yeah.
Lots of other things happening. Well, the drop-off charges at Edinburgh Airport going up from £6 to £8.50 because the airport has got to pay an increased rates bill.
The government have come out, the Scottish government come out in defence of that and saying that their rates increase that the general manager of the airport was quoting, it's not as high as that.
And also, did you see they made something like £140 million pre-tax profit?
Yeah, it was a tough year.
I know, but they need another £2.50 from the motorists to drop off their passengers. And, the fact is, they're doing it because they can do it. You've no alternative. Well, you have. There's free parking half an hour away.
Yeah, you can walk.
But what about people who have got luggage and, it's an easy one to charge. So they're doing that. So we don't like that.
No, definitely not.
No, we don't like that.
No.
Okay.
It's now the most expensive airport in Scotland.
So
but Glasgow haven't caught up yet.
So, but they soon will, presumably. The driving test changes.
Yeah, I think that really is disappointing in the way that's happening. And I actually think, well, first of all, you talk about the changes.
Well, the changes are that, apparently what some driving instructors have been doing is the driving instructors book the driving tests on behalf of the pupil. So they've been block booking and then selling them off, which they shouldn't be doing.
No.
But for anything up to £500, because people are desperate to get their test. That's not allowed anymore. Only the pupil can book the test, which is absolutely right. That's how it should be. But one of the reasons for doing this is to get rid of this backlog. You've got people waiting, anything up to 6-9 months a year for the driving test.
There was a young lady talking on television last week, and she's ready to sit her test. She's gone through all the lessons and applying now today in Aberdeen. She would get her first test date would be October. Now that is disgraceful. And that, what's disgraceful about that is that this has been going on for at least a couple of years now.
Longer.
The Department of Transport have had an opportunity to sort that, and it's ridiculous that they've allowed this to go on by saying, well, there's a shortage of examiners. Well, recruit some more then. It's simple.
Did they not call in the army or something? They were bringing in instructors or examiners from the army to try and reduce the total. But how long did you have to wait for your driving test?
I think only a couple of months.
Couple of minutes?
A couple of months. I'm surprised you thought that I even sat a test.
No, I think I applied on the day I was 17, I think, and I passed my test 3 weeks later.
Right. It was very close. Yeah.
That was in dark ages. That was when the horses and carts were getting in the way.
Somebody walking in front with a torch.
Red flag.
Red flag.
Right.
No, but I think we need to, be getting on top of the Department of Transport here and saying this is unacceptable. So it's also time that some of our MSPs and councillors started shouting about it as well.
Yeah.
Do something.
Okay, that's rant over.
Right, okay, rant over. Let's go on to our first guest of this evening. We've got a couple of guests. So Lorraine's out and about with Lorraine's Lane. John Cleland, former champion touring car driver, is here with his first drive. Very entertaining. But first of all, we go to Knockhill.
Alan Douglas and Ali Bally. This is Scotland the Drive.
So it's great to welcome to the podcast once again for an update on what's happening at Knockhill. Stuart Gray. Stuart, how are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Good to see you both.
Thank you. And an exciting weekend coming up.
Yeah, it's round two of the Scottish Championships. Um, so once a month we have car racing of both the Knockhill Club and the Scottish Motor Racing Club. And this one's got an extra um, hint of a bit of a throwback, a rewind to celebrate the 50 years of racing at Knockhill. So we've got a couple of extra features with the Scottish Motor Racing Club's Classic Sports and Saloons has got a really expanded grid of including some mod sports from down south, and we've got karting legends that have long circuit karts from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So some extra elements over and above a regular meeting.
How do you come up with all these extra pieces you've got to do to keep Knockhill exciting and, you know?
Yes, it's tough, but it's really just seeing what's out there, what's down south. Our location is, I guess, not ideal in that a lot of these championships are based sort of Birmingham southwards. So to coax them up is a bit of a challenge. But the great thing is the reputation of the circuit is incredible. We are commonly regarded as the best touring car circuit on the within the championship, and the drivers love it. So the hard bit is coaxing them up, but once they're here, they do tend to come back. Maybe not every year, or certainly every other year. So um, it's just got to keep your eyes open and see what's out there and try and keep things fresh.
Yeah, I was going to say for the touring cars, I know a lot of the drivers love coming up to Knockhill because it's a demanding, challenging circuit, isn't it?
Yeah, 1.3 miles, unlike anything else probably on planet Earth. Um, they're airborne a lot of the time. The tight, twisty, undulating nature. The weather can throw a few curveballs as well. But I think and it is genuinely, it's since 1992 that we've hosted touring cars, and they love it. Alan Gow, the boss of touring cars, loves coming here. The drivers love it. The teams love it. A lot of them make a holiday of the trip, so they'll either come up early and as Tim Harvey and Steve Ryder do and play a few golf courses beforehand, or they'll stay on afterwards with their partners and their. So it's definitely viewed as a different round to the others in the championship.
Just going back to the historic, the legends. Apart from the historic drivers, you've got historic cars, haven't you?
Yeah, this time, this weekend on Sunday, we invited as many of the Scottish champions from the 50 years of Knockhill and said, "Come and have a day on us," and we've done the same. So there's probably 45 champion drivers coming as our guest on Sunday. It's great to have them back and kind of reuniting with each other. Probably headlining that are the three more household names, as it were. John Cleland's coming up for 2 or 3 hours on Sunday. Doug Niven, cousin of the late great Jim Clark, is coming up.
Yeah.
And we're actually presenting a trophy in his honour for the first time. And Gordon Fenton will be here as well for a few hours on Sunday. So we've got a real mix of champion drivers from those that were campaigning, maybe Minis or Hillman Imps or whatever back in the day, right through to current champions.
But they'll be driving the old cars, will they?
The champions are coming as our guests. A number of them are bringing their own cars, and they'll be on display within the pit lane garages. So we're expecting the pit lane garage to be quite a feature of a few iconic cars over the years. And in fact, one of the cars that's coming In fact, we're hoping there'll be two, but certainly one of them is a World Championship winning car. The Acura Cos C2 car is coming. That'll be a static display, but a real mix of cars that have played their part in Knockhill's history.
You mentioned there John Cleland, and he's coming up on this edition of the podcast in a little while, doing his My First Car or My First Drive, and that's rather entertaining as well, as you would expect from John.
He's been around Knockhill quite a few times, hasn't he? Because he talks on the interview we've already recorded with him about his the Vauxhall that he managed to retrieve and I think restore, which is quite a car.
Yeah, he's I don't know what all he's got, but certainly he's got the Vectra, and I think he's got a Cavalier as well from his touring car days. So he's been on the scene since I think Knockhill.
Yes.
And
goes back a bit. That's what you're saying, Stuart.
Yeah. No, he's a legend, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Well, we wish you every success with this weekend. Hope it goes well. I'm sure it will, as you obviously work to the rest of the season ahead. The touring cars all coming together now, is it?
Yeah, touring cars are a big one in August, 8th, 9th. We have a real nice mix of classes within that event, not just touring cars, but our own Scottish Legends Championship is going to be a guest round, which we're really looking forward to. These guys are used to racing in front of 1,000, 1,500 people, but they'll be racing in front of 15,000 because we've managed to secure them not only Knockhill touring cars, but also beginning of June they're racing in front of a similar crowd or bigger crowd down at Oulton Park. So a really big year for the Scottish Legends Championship. But the one I'm looking forward to is actually the end of September, which is going to be Scotland's first ever night race.
Yes.
We're full one-day meeting on Saturday, 26th of September. We wait about an hour and a half, let it get dark, and then there'll be 2 qualifying and 2 night races. So that's going to be a bit different.
Just quickly before we say goodbye, 50 years of Knockhill. Where do you think it'll be in 50 years' time? I mean, will we still be racing? Do you think, or will it all be AI?
Well, I totally believe we will be. Man's been racing each other since the days of chariots. There is that inbuilt competitive need for speed for a lot of the human race, whether it's racing horses, racing cars. That competitive element will be there. I think Knockhill will survive because the restrictions on the road are quite rightly are becoming more and more tightly policed. So if you've got a performance car, the way to enjoy that car is on the track, not on the road. So track days in the last 5-10 years have gone up, hugely. So and the motorsport element, we may move to hybrid, electric. I don't know if that will ever come on sporting wise. So I think, I think it will be here, and people will still be enjoying the need for speed.
Indeed.
Even if we go back to chariot racing at Knockhill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not? There, you're giving me an idea for next year.
This is Scotland the Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
Thank you, Stuart Gray, for coming into the programme and telling us what's happening. And we were talking about this weekend, and of course, depending when you're watching this going out, it is this weekend, which is when we're recording this.
Or listening to when this is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's this week. The dates are the 16th, 17th.
Yes.
Yeah. 16th, 17th.
I did have them written down. You pinched them.
Yeah, you've lost your script.
I know.
Script.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, it's this weekend, 16th, 16, 17.
Yeah.
So it's Knockhill. A lot going on there.
And I mean, it doesn't matter what weekend you go. There's always
great circuit.
excitement.
And I like the idea of chariot racing at Knockhill. That could be good. That could be good.
St Andrews Sands to Knockhill. Yes. If you're watching on YouTube, then thank you very much indeed. You can listen on Spotify, and please, I know the last couple of editions we haven't been pushing it, but please subscribe. It's free and it helps us get the numbers up, and we need that to impress the motor people, So please subscribe. We'd really enjoy that. And anybody who's subscribing, we'll pull one of the names out we haven't done it for a while. So we'll give one of our Scotland the Drive mugs. There we are. We've got them there.
It worked perfectly.
There we see. It's empty. But anyway, someone will win one of these just by subscribing.
Right, let's get back to cars.
Okay.
So Lorraine's been out and about in the Kia K4, which is the petrol version of the EV4, which I like the EV4.
Yeah,
it was a nice car, but I also like the K4. But anyway, we'll hear what Lorraine had to say about it.
Scotland the Drive. Lorraine's Lane.
The arrival of the Kia K4 GT line was a pleasant change from a long run of electric SUVs, even if they are all pretty decent drives. So the chance to drive a snazzy-looking hatchback was quite attractive. Looking resplendent in moonlight mint with 17-inch alloy wheels, gloss back door mirrors and body-coloured bumpers, it certainly looked the part. I was eager to get inside and behind the wheel. Ali was driving first, so I was relegated to the passenger seat. The interior styling was nice enough, although I wasn't a fan of that spotty upholstery or the manual passenger seat adjustment. Guess I'm just a bit lazy these days. Plenty of space though, front and back, with lots of head and legroom, and also ample smart storage as well. It has a marvellous multimedia system housed within the 12.3-inch touchscreen and driver display screen, with all mod cons to improve your driving experience. Add the Kia app and it really will enhance your ride. Whilst in the passenger seat, I wasn't all that impressed, if I'm honest, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. However, I completely changed my mind when it was my turn to drive. I drove on the motorways and rural roads, and it was an enjoyable drive, very much so. The 1.6T DDI engine was very quiet. It corners well with precise steering. A little lag at the outset, but apart from that, it was really, really good. I loved all the safety features such as rear parking sensors, reversing cameras, 360-degree surround view camera, which will keep you safe on the road. The Kia K4 does have strong rivals, however, such as the Volkswagen Golf and the Honda Civic, but do remember Kia's 7-year warranty. Price on the road is £32,095, which is comparable too. The Kia K4, I think, is very worthy of a test drive for those who are looking for a good-sized family car. As I said, I wasn't that impressed at the beginning because I was in the passenger seat, but once I was able to drive it, I really, really did enjoy it.
Scotland the Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
So there you are. There are still some good petrol cars around, good old petrol cars, but I'm becoming a bit of a convert. I know you're a convert, and we'll talk about that at some point in the future.
Okay.
But once you've got to grips with it all.
Yes.
Yeah, there are good petrol cars around, and the Kia K4 is one of them. Right. But talking about electric cars.
Yes. A big electric car has come on the scene. We haven't had time to drive it yet, but...
No, we haven't had a chance to drive it yet. The BMW iX3. Now, this is a remarkable car. Apparently, it has a range of about 500 miles. We have yet to see whether that's achievable.
Well, to be fair, it's already started working its way around the motoring writers.
Yeah.
And we've had 2 reports on it, and both have said they got the 500 miles.
So we have yet to find out for ourselves, and we will give you the lowdown on that. But in the meantime, we spoke to a couple of people from BMW and had a look at the car, albeit not driving it, but we spoke to them, and this is what they had to say.
Scotland the Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
So James Morrison from BMW, Product Communications Manager, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Right. You're almost back on home territory. You've got
I'm not
family
quite sure
or
how to
Scottish.
help you with that.
And now that's because I mentioned BMW. Is that right?
That's right. It's it's the person system. Yeah, no, my dad's from Glasgow, so I've spent quite a lot of time time up here.
Okay. So tell me about the car, the iX3.
Announced end of last year to quite a lot of critical acclaim, because actually it's the first of a new generation of BMW, which you may have heard this phrase Neue Klasse. And actually Neue Klasse relates back in the 60s, actually, when BMW was going through quite an interesting time in its history, where there was a lot of emphasis on big luxury cars that it was making, but also kind of small bubble cars it was making. But actually, the company wasn't really making too much money, so they went through a bit of a proper look at what they needed to do to gear themselves up for the future. And actually, what that spurred was the launch of the kind of the 1600 and the 1800 Neue Klasse models back then, which then spurred on kind of the 02 and then into 3 Series. So Neue Klasse back in the 60s marked a real change for BMW, and the advent of this car and all the generations of products that will follow this also are a bit of an answer to the times that we're in that, you know, consumers' mindsets changing. I mean, this is a fully electric car, but Neue Klasse isn't just electric. It's around circularity. It's around sustainability. It's also around the looks and the technology and how we interact with the car.
Certainly a big car. From the outside, it's a big car, but all the technology in here as well. I mean, it really is dramatic, to say the least. The screen is a completely different shape from what we come to expect. This panoramic dashboard as well, which is, wow, there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, there is a lot of information and there's a lot of change, exactly. So it marks the start of also new interior design language for BMW. So I think, yeah, probably the first thing you've spotted is this A-pillar to A-pillar projection, which is running along the bottom of the windscreen. And ultimately, you configure that, and I would say typically you configure it once, maybe twice, or you tweak it, but you put the widgets in that you want. So whether it's, you know, your navigation destination or your climate, or whether it's, you know, what audio you're listening to, that's really at kind of eye level. So it's in your periphery as you're driving. So the idea that your eyes aren't really darting too much from the road.
So it's dramatic, to say the least. But the big feature of this car, and the one thing that everyone's talking about, is its range. 500 miles on a full charge?
Yeah, exactly. So longest range of any UK car, as we announced it. So 500 on the WLTP cycle. It is, of course, dependent on the wheel size and the trim level you go for, and that's easily explained by retailers and on our configurator. That said, it marks such a milestone in terms of people's confidence in electric vehicles, and, you know, the concept of range anxiety, I promise you, starts diminishing when you get into a car of this kind of capability. We all slightly joke within the team that every time we drive the car, we actually forget to look at the range, because it just, there's range there, and then especially when you're regenerating, you know, the range jumps up as well. We've just announced the i3 that has an even further range, you know, up to 560 miles on the WLTP cycle. So, you know, there's huge advancements in battery technology, and what we found is our customers are really appreciating this. So we've seen a significant interest in retail buyers with our first orders for the car. And that hasn't been the case with all of our electric vehicles previously. Typically, they've been more geared towards corporate and retail, where there's significant kind of tax advantages for people to choose those.
So this is a game changer then for you.
It's a huge game changer. You know, we cannot underestimate what a milestone it is for BMW in terms of design, in terms of technology, in terms of capability, and it really paves the way. You know, we're going to see around 40 new models launch within the next 2 years, all taking this Neue Klasse look, feel, technology, and pushing the game forward.
I'm thinking fuel prices as they are, which are sky high, as everyone knows. That must give you a huge boost for a car like this.
I always think to be a car designer or be a head office motor manufacturer, and you're looking in a crystal ball and you're just trying to work out what's going to happen. No one can foresee, government policies around, ZEV mandates. No one can foresee, changes to, countries leaving European unions. There's, wars happening. Exactly. But actually what you have to do is to just try and always make, cars as efficient and as able. Where BMW is probably slightly different from some manufacturers is we've never said we're going to be 100% electric. What we've said is we're going to have an open architecture, that it's around choice.
Yeah.
So for some people, electric will always be the preferred car. Some people it'll be, a petrol engine. For some people it'll be a plug-in hybrid. And some people it might be diesel. We're gonna have a range of engines, and actually we're also developing new technologies. Hydrogen is still a potential.
You're covering all your options, basically.
You're covering your options, and hopefully you've got smart enough manufacturing and production plants that you can move with demand.
Right. Okay, so just to bring this to a close, because I'm actually looking forward to driving it, far from anything else. But how do you see BMW's place in the marketplace? I mean, you're obviously. I've said BMW again. That's the voice.
We can turn it off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it's okay. We'll just leave it. But how do you see BMW's place in the market? Because you're competing against the Chinese now, aren't you?
Oh, I mean, there's no question that we are seeing many new entrants into the market, and the increase of those new entrants and the impact to established of players is one we're all very aware of. I think where perhaps being slightly luckier is where we sit within the market. We are more premium brand, and luckily our engineers are creating cars like this. It's been given World Car of the Year. We've been Car of the Year by 2 other titles. We've had significant accolades, and I think the what underpins the quality of BMW has been recognised. So, yeah, we're aware. we're not dismissive, but we're very confident in our products.
Well, as I say, I'm looking forward to driving it. So once I master all this technology, because I'm not the greatest techie around, but
I think it's with all these things. Actually, the more time you spend with it, they become second nature.
Of course. Hey. Well, James Morrison, thank you very much for
Thank you very much.
This is Scotland, the Drive, with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
Martin Harrison, BMW, welcome back to Scotland.
Thank you.
Do you remember the last time you were here?
I do. I'm always here for the Scottish Car of the Year.
Indeed,
Awards,
yes.
Which is the best of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're looking at a world at the moment that we don't know where it's going. You just never know what's going to happen in November, which is the Car of the Year this year. It must be difficult for a major manufacturer like BMW to actually forecast. Some guy sitting in an office somewhere and he's got to forecast how many models you're going to sell and what we want as the public next. How do you do that?
I think ultimately what you have to do is take a step back and do an honest appraisal of where things are at, and be realistic in terms of where the market is as well. And I think BMW actually is in a very good position. It has been and is in a very good position at the moment, because I think they are looking holistically at what people want, what the consumer wants, and hopefully offering the right product at the right time to meet those demands.
And you've got some exciting products coming up, which we'll be talking about in a couple of editions' time, once we get behind the wheel of this car that you've brought up today. Just tell us briefly about it, what it is and where you are with it.
Yeah, so the new BMW iX3 we launched this year. It went on sale in March. And we're hugely proud of it for a couple of reasons. I think, firstly, what it represents. It's the first of the Neue Klasse range of cars, so it's a fundamental redesign of what we do in terms of technology, battery capability, and design. And I think it reflects where we're going with our next range of products as well, which is really exciting. So.
Right, we're not saying too much about that on this edition of the podcast because the three members of Scotland the Drive will be driving it fairly shortly, so we'll be telling you a wee bit more about that. How important is Scotland to the BMW market?
Hugely important. Yeah, I think you're a discerning bunch. That's for sure, and I think we recognise from it not just in terms of the volume and what that offers, but I think in terms of the price point as well. And I think one thing I would say about the BMW iX3 is, I don't want to overstate it, but it's priced really competitively, which I think would appeal in terms of the market here, in terms of what it can offer as well. So yeah.
And throughout Scotland, your BMW dealerships, they're a bit above the rest, aren't they? I mean, you walk into a BMW dealership, and actually, I can tell it's a bit more of a welcome than some of the dealerships, because I have been in a few BMWs recently.
Well, again, you'd like to think so. We're fortunate. We're at the Dakota today in Edinburgh, and a couple of miles up the road we had Eastern BMW, who've helped us today as well, which we're really grateful for as well. And I think that reflects the friendliness and the willingness to support as well. And I think when they heard why we were here as well to support the ASMW with a rotor car and what we were doing, they were really excited as well, and they were really happy to support.
Well, I see it from where I live, which is Dundee, and John Clark have invested very, very heavily in BMW, not only BMW, but in Dundee in the whole, but a new dealership for the BMW range. So they've put up a lot of money into it as well.
Yeah, there's an incredible amount of investment going in, and I think the look and feel of the retailer when you walk in, to many, including John Clark, is very different. It's much more welcoming in terms of for a broader range of people to come in and just feel more at home and not pressured, not so pressured perhaps as they might have been perhaps.
Well, thank you very much indeed for bringing the car up. We look forward to driving it and reporting as to what we think of it, and a wee bit more of the technical information on the car as well on Scotland the Drive. Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot.
This is Scotland the Drive.
And thanks very much indeed to Martin Harrison and James for coming up with the car, leaving it with us, and over the next few weeks we'll be giving you our thoughts once we get it on the road. So, once again, we say if you're listening, thank you very much indeed. You can follow Scotland the Drive on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, listen on Spotify and watch on YouTube. And please subscribe. A lot of people think you get charged a fortune, but no, it's free. And if you subscribe between now and us recording the next one, which is a couple of weeks, then we'll draw one name out who have subscribed and somebody will win that mug. Okay?
Great. So, on to my first drive, where we talk to people around the country. Some could be classed as petrol heads, some really not bothered about driving, but we speak to them all about their first drive and their motoring history. And this week, we sat down John Cleland at his Volvo dealership in the Borders, and he told us about his motoring career.
This is Scotland the Drive. My first car.
Well, John, thanks for joining us on Scotland the Drive. I assume you've been away selling lots of Volvos today.
Well, I'd love to say that was the excuse, but I was doing something rather mundane. I was cutting the grass, working a strimmer, working a chainsaw, and doing all the trivial things that I do at home when the sun shines. I did notice it was 20 degrees or something today, so that's a record this year so far, so I'm good with that.
So how's the business going? I mean, are you selling lots of Volvos?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, but I mean, it turns out, I mean, the whole industry changed with COVID because we started to do things differently. We didn't ask customers to sign bits of paper. It was all done remotely. We didn't produce invoices. It was all PDFs and sent to them. We used to deliver cars nationally free of charge. As soon as COVID came about, we said, no, it's £1.50 a mile to deliver that. And guess what? Everybody was happy to do it in COVID, and we've just kept that going since. And I think anybody you speak to in the car industry, it went through that period where we couldn't get new cars because the factories weren't working. Then the spin-off to that, we couldn't get used cars. Then the rental cars that were supplied in vast numbers up and down the UK would eventually come to us as used cars on our forecourts. They weren't there either. So it really put the price of used cars up a bit more than we would have anticipated. And negative equity was a thing of the past. I mean, up until COVID, negative equity was quite a common thing. Someone's got a bit of finance, their car's worth £5,000 less than the finance that they owe. But actually, one occasion, I gave a customer of mine, I've been selling cars for years, I gave him back more for the car that I sold him 2 years previously. I gave him more back for it than I charged him.
Wow.
Because we just couldn't get product. We couldn't get stock. And probably if I go back 2 years now, we're going down this route of no ICE engine vehicles, no petrol, no diesel. We're all going electric. And that's all very commendable. But the people that live in a flat 12 stories up somewhere, they're not dangling a cable out through the window and plugging it into their car.
Yeah.
We have to come up with a better solution for all of this. So despite what that idiot Miliband thinks, we are absolutely not going to be net zero by the time they all think we are. Much as we think we are and we're doing all the right things, and I agree, we need to save the planet for all our grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so on. But we're not all going to do that. The Chinese need to stop building power stations. And I know these boats that are stuck in the Straits of Hormuz, guess what's powering them? It's not electric. So I think the car industry and, motorsport as well, everybody tags it, oh, you're wasting fuel. Well, actually, no, there's sustainable fuel. And, there's a very low carbon footprint nowadays for that sort of stuff. If you'd asked me, were we going to go down that route quickly, I'd probably have said no 2 years ago. Now, we fight daily to buy used EVs to put in our forecourt. Because every time we buy them, they're gone. Because when they're used, they're a bit better value for money, and people can afford that, 28, 30 grand, 35 grand. They maybe wouldn't have bought one if it was 55 grand to begin with. We've done all the tree huggers and the woolly tights people that want to save the planet. We've done all them. Whether it's us, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Geely, Polestar, all these Chinese brands that are coming in. Now we need to get the people that, like the three of us here, we're petrol heads. I mean, I raced cars for a living for 25 years. And the reason I got involved in it was for the sound and the smell. And the last time I looked, you can't get a smell off a battery. So
you're so much, John, like a man that should be on this program, because the amount of times that people who watched it say to us, of course, you and Alan don't like electric cars. It's not that we don't like electric cars, it's just that infrastructure and everything isn't there. And you're right. Anti-Miliband, yes, definitely me. And we were just talking on the last edition of the program, we're talking about me thinking about now is maybe the time I should be going electric. And there was one car in particular I was driving, and then I took it down to Glasgow and I couldn't get back on one charge, and if a car can't get me from Dundee to Glasgow and back on one charge, then it's a big problem, and I'm not interested.
You're driving the wrong car then.
Yeah, obviously.
because
I know.
They do make cars, battery cars that will go that far. But what we keep telling people is, everybody has this thing about range anxiety. Well, actually, you probably had the same range anxiety. Every time I get in my wife's car and she drives a petrol car, there's nothing left on this fuel gauge. Nothing. I don't know how she does it. It's a skill. I've no idea. So it wasn't like you drove your petrol or diesel engine car with a full tank of fuel all the time. You were always thinking about where you were going to put fuel in it. Where's the cheapest station this week or whatever. And we just have to make a plan nowadays if you're going to go distance in an electric car, you have to think about where can I stop? Where am I going to have a cup of coffee? Where do I need to go to use the toilet? And so on and so forth. And it's a bit more planning attached to it. And providing you do that and you check to see all electric cars nowadays will take you to the nearest charger anyway. You don't need all the apps that you can stick on your phone. Providing they're working, and that's the key.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, John. I mean, it's just a different way of thinking, isn't it? I mean, we're so used to the filling up the tank and, 5 minutes, there's the tank full. And there is this just a different attitude you've got to have. Anyway, listen, we can talk about this for hours and hours and hours. Let's talk about your cars. So, I mean, you've been driving for quite a few years, haven't you?
Careful.
Careful, exactly. Yeah, a long time.
So, here's a cheeky question. Can you remember your first car?
Absolutely, I can. My father was a Triumph dealer. He was Triumph, Jaguar, Rover, Land Rover, all of that. And my first car was a green 1250 Triumph Herald.
All right, yeah.
And the registration number was ASO171E or something like that, or D. Probably a D, because I'd have been, what would have been 1969. I'd have been 17. So
yeah,
a Triumph Herald was, my dad's stock in trade. I was doing my apprenticeship at Triumph Motor Company down in Coventry when it was owned by British Leyland under the guidance of Lord Stokes. And we put 5.5J steel wider rims on this thing to make it look honky. But it handled like a bucket of whatever. and the way I found to make it handle better, I got a curbstone that was very nearly a metre long, and it sat beautifully in the boot just over the rear axle, and it kept the wheels at a sort of a negative degree, which made the car handle significantly better. It did probably take about 10 or 15 miles an hour off the top speed because of the weight of the damn thing.
It probably wasn't very good for economy either.
It definitely wasn't good for economy. Yeah. But when you were buying a gallon of fuel for less than today's 50 pence, it was 4 and 10 pence or something like that. Because I remember serving fuel for my father at a petrol station, and that was the kind of money it was. Back then, who cares? But now when it's £2 a litre for diesel, that's outrageous,
Yeah. So what did you move on to after that?
It was a succession of things. But again, probably because Dad had a garage, and it was probably easy to get all sorts of different things. But I kind of started before I went to school in the morning when I was 16. Our place was at Bogside, just near Wishaw. And I went to school in Wishaw, and I used to get the bus there in the morning. But the deal was I had to take all the cars out of the compound and put them in a straight line, again, looking out to the main road so all the customers and the people driving past could see them. And I remember one morning, my dad had it was a Wilmot Cortina, Mark II Wilmot Cortina, Mark I Wilmot Cortina. And that was the equivalent of a Lotus Cortina.
Yeah.
And I took this thing, no driving license. I took this thing down the road for a blast to a place called New Mains, which was about 3 or 4 miles away, turned around about at New Mains, blat it back, lined it up on the forecourt perfectly, and then got in the bus and went to school. Didn't have a driving license or any of that.
Oh, dear.
We went through a whole succession of cars. Triumph was mainly the car in those days, a Toledo, a a Dolomite, a Triumph 2000, which I used a 2.5 PI, the fuel injected one, as a vehicle to do night rallies. And that was really when I sort of started to do a wee bit of motorsport. Not much. It was like auto test with my Triumph Herald. Then with this Triumph PI, we would do like 12-car rallies, where they hand you in, you're navigating, starts about 8 o'clock at night or something, it goes through the night and you finish at breakfast time in the morning. And they hand you all sorts of clues in that you've got to plot heights and map references and stuff like that. And I used that. And the guy actually that was my navigator in those days turned out he's my best man. I was his best man. And he became one of Scotland's very, very senior policemen. And he was responsible for creating a thing called the Violence Reduction Unit in Glasgow to stop people stabbing themselves. And I can only think that was due to sitting beside me all these nights navigating and jumping through hedges and all these kind of things, And that's really where I started motorsport. It was
how did you go from that to touring cars then? That's quite a jump.
Yeah, it was. My dad, as I say, was a car dealer, and he was tight as a budgie's armpit. And he was a motorsport fanatic because he was a scrutineer. He was the main scrutineer for Scotland. And the deal was he would buy the car, and my first race car was a Mini, 999cc Mini. I had to find the money to run it, and I had to give him back his money at the end of the year. And I thought, what a hard old bandit. That's not fair. You can afford to do that. At that time, I was selling cars. That was the deal. That was how it worked. Anyway, that was fine. We did the first car was the Mini. We sold that on and moved it. And we were doing hill climbs and the odd. Only one race with the Mini. Only ever did one race, and that was at Inglestown. The next car he bought was a thing called a Chevron B8 from a guy called Tony Charnell. It had a 2-litre BMW engine. It looked like a little Dino Ferrari. It was a plastic, a fiberglass body thing. And my dad gave £1,400 for this thing, complete with a trailer and a spare set of wheels. And I hill-climbed it for a year, and I sold it to a guy called Simon Phillips. And I got £2,000 for it. And I thought, that was smart. Got a bit of profit. The old man was happy. We moved on to the next car because that's what we did. We didn't have a big shed and thought, we'll keep that because one day that'll be worth a few quid. Anyway, that car subsequently went through a number of owners, one of whom was Stirling Moss.
Wow.
Moss owned the car. It then went to Sweden. I know the guy in Sweden that owned it. It went to Japan. And it came back, and Gregor Fiskin, about a year or so ago, was selling it for £300,000. and I got £2,000 for it. So you would think, I'm a car dealer. I should know the price of cars. I clearly didn't.
Well, you've learned your lesson now, though, haven't you?
Yeah. I keep cars now. I don't sell them. I keep them. I put them in a garage, and they've got the price.
Right. So I mean, what you're not racing now, are you? I mean, you do historic stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do historic stuff. In fact, next weekend I'm at Goodwood. There's an extravaganza of what they call super touring, which was the 90s variants of the cars I drove, but the thing that made me champion twice, and I got paid very handsomely to drive race cars, which was great. I bought the car back about 12 years ago. My son found it on Facebook. We bought it back, and we've raced it for the last 10 years. We've not been out for 2 years with it because he had family, moved home, etc., etc. So next weekend, we're going to take it to Goodwood, and we're going to demonstrate it along with 40 odd super tourers. And I've also been asked to drive a Capri, share a drive in a Capri with a mate who I used to race against back in the early 80s. So that should be good fun. And I still enjoy it. I still get a kick out of it. If I win, I'll get a real kick. If I don't win, I'll be really pissed off. Because anybody that tells you it's the taking part that counts, that is bull. The minute you pull the crash helmet on, you absolutely want to do the best you can against, and I'm going to be competing against, Jenson Button, I think, is in the race. There's a whole raft of Le Mans winners in this particular race as well. Unfortunately, no touring car drivers next weekend because it clashes with the first round of the Touring Car Championship. Normally Goodwood is full of these guys. And it's great because a couple of years ago I raced there, and I was on the grid with an old Volvo, and I spent the entire race fighting against Tom Christensen, 9 times Le Mans winner. And I was, I think, second row of the grid, so I was about 4th or 5th fastest. And on pole position, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were guys that had won Le Mans more than once. And then there was other sports car drivers around about it. So it's the place to race and get your elbows out against guys that have done it all. And I'm looking forward to it. It should be a right bit of a breeze.
Yeah, a great buzz for you and everybody taking part, isn't it?
Absolutely. My youngest son, Jamie, looks after the car, and I think he's taking tomorrow off and Friday off to prepare it, to get it ready to compete. We hopefully press the starter button, pull the crash helmet on, and go for it. So
go for it.
So that's on the track. What about everyday driving? What do you drive now? It's not a Triumph Herald now, is it?
No, I've got I bought a 911 GTS Targa about 6 months ago, and then I had to put it in the corner of the garage over the winter, and I don't use them when there's salt on the ground. And when I pulled it out of the garage a fortnight ago, it had done 400 miles. So it's 911 Targa. I love the Targa because I'm not into convertibles. I've got a 911 Coupe, a touring as well, which I'm going to keep and probably leave that to my grandkids because it's got an engine that runs on petrol. It's got a 7-speed gearbox. And in the future, people will say, "What's a gearbox?" Nobody will know what that is. So there'll be, the price of that car will go up, as will the Targa, because they don't make that many of them. And it's in a bright Laguna blue, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous car to drive.
It must be difficult for you, though. I mean, when you've got a forecourt and a showroom full of cars, you can just go out and say, I think I'll drive that today.
You're right. And in fact, parked alongside my Porsche at home is a new Volvo ES90, which is the big electric saloon. And I've been using that for the last month or so as well. And I mean, it's a great car. It's, if you like electric, that's a fantastic car. And I have to be seen to be driving the brand that I sell, and have done for 36 years. I've been selling Volvos in the borders here. And there's a lot of them about. So if I'm seen to be driving a 911 Porsche all the time, it doesn't look good. So that's my weekend car, or if I go to Knock Hill, or these kind of things, I'll use it. But by and large, I will be using a Volvo of some sort.
You mentioned Knock Hill there, and I just have to say, when you talk about once you pull the helmet on, etc., then you're going for it. My first time ever in sitting as a passenger going round Knock Hill was with you. And
I know.
I have to say thank you, because when I come out the car, I was absolutely shaking, and I remember trying to do a radio piece on it and not really finding the right words. But since then, I've become to appreciate, that when you took me around, you took it very much to heart, as if you were going round there and something was at stake at the end of it. It was great.
I seem to remember a few years ago we were in a charity thing driving a pickup somewhere.
That was in the Forest of A down in Dumfriesshire.
And I seem to remember you reversed into something and bashed the back end.
That wouldn't be like me.
No, that wouldn't be you. No, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, the thing is, when you, in a race car, and it doesn't matter whether it's a warm-up lap, a competitive lap, or a cool-down lap, you're still trying hard. And I would, when I was racing, I would come into the pits just as fast as normal. I wouldn't trickle in because we would be doing pit stops in those days. So it was about coming in as fast as you could and knowing where you could brake, get it down to the speed limit, and then trickle in into your pits at that stage. So everything about getting in a race car is absolutely on the edge all the time. If you start to relax, that's when it bites you. And it's the same in a road car. If you're, you're going to, if I get in the car tonight, I want to drive to London. I've got to concentrate all the time because see when I start thinking about something or I start to make a phone call on a hands-free, I have to say.
Of course.
But I've sometimes found myself going through villages and not remembering I've gone through them because I'm not concentrating properly. I'm safe, but I'm not concentrating sometimes. So I think when you get in a car, particularly a race car, it's 100% commitment every single lap. And I do that. And it's the same in a road car. I mean, not quite at the same pace.
Well, that's very good advice there, John. Well, I hope you never really slow down. I mean, not on the track anyway, but slow down on the road occasionally. But good to talk to you, and thanks so much for joining us on Scotland the Drive.
Absolutely. Thank you once again, John. Take care.
You're welcome, guys. Yeah.
Alan Douglas and Ali Bally. This is Scotland the Drive.
Scotland the Drive, and thank you very much indeed to John Cleland. Always entertaining. No, for many years, always entertaining. So
he's a very fast guy.
Yeah.
Even though he's getting on a bit like the rest of us,
Yes.
he's still fast.
Yeah.
Right. Some issues.
Issues.
To wrap up with.
Keyless.
Keyless. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Your key's gone.
Well, somebody I know has a Dacia Sandero, and one day the key stopped, or one of the two keys stopped working. So they went to the local garage and said, "Oh yeah, the key's packed up. We'll order a new one." So they ordered a new one. It was delivered £130 for a Dacia Key. But she thought, "Oh well, fair enough. Okay, that's what it costs." And they said, "We'll program it." She took the car back in. "Oh, sorry, we can't program it. It's got to go to a Dacia dealer." So she's now gone to a Dacia dealer, another £108, £255 altogether to have this key supplied and programmed. So there's a lesson there. Look after your key, that little key.
They're getting very expensive.
They are very expensive. Yeah. She was talking to somebody else who said, "You think that's bad? I've got a Renault van and I lost the key and it was £500. And so, if you've got the key, look after it. Don't, whatever you do, put it in a washing machine.
Yes.
I know somebody whose key ended up in a washing machine.
Yes, so do I. Talking of Lorraine, she was out with her new all-electric Geely and went to pick up two granddaughters from school, parked the car, went and got the girls, came back to the car, pressed it, and this was before it went in the washing machine, pressed the button, it would do nothing, it wouldn't open the doors. And she tried it several times, it would not go at all. Now in the car was her house keys, her bag, her purse, her phone, so she couldn't contact anybody. She eventually got, one of the kids had a phone, so she looked it up, and it said, yes, occasionally the computer could be reprogramming itself, and while it's doing that, it will lock down for about 10 minutes. So she had to stand there for 10 minutes, but it did open up within 10 minutes.
How do you know if it's reprogramming itself?
I'll let you know the next time it happens.
So anyway, she got in eventually.
She got in eventually, yes, and we've now got a very shiny new key. Well, key because it's been in the washing machine. We don't know if it works or not.
Oh dear. Anyway, yeah. You see, that's why I like the old technology. You can rely on the old technology. You put the key in the hole, you turn it, away you go. Talking of which, there's this guy with his Suzuki Vitara, This was in Bedford, I think he was. He took his car back to the Bedford dealer that he bought it from. And he'd had it for less than 10 years, and it had clocked up 436,500 miles in less than 10 years. He was trading it in. I'd like to know what sort of trading value you got for that. But it still had its original engine, gearbox, and exhaust, and it still didn't leak. Mind you, he'd gone through 15 sets of tyres in that time, but that's not bad for 436,000 miles.
Oh.
Almost 500,000 miles in a Suzuki Vitara. Suzukis are good.
Yes.
And that's proof. So he, and who's calling us?
Who's got? No, it wasn't something I said.
Is it me? No, it's not me.
It's not me.
Oh, well, they'll ring back.
We'll get back to them.
There we are. Suzuki, reliable Suzuki. And
Well done,
it's done almost 500,000 miles, and it's still running smoothly. So I wonder if they managed to sell it and somebody else missed it.
Yes. Depends. Need a new set of tyres.
You imagine it sitting in the showroom or out the forecourt, it says, very high mileage. No, I doubt it. One careful owner, over 500,000 miles.
Well, that's almost it for this edition of Scotland the Drive. Next time, we'll have royalty.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Who's that?
My first drive,
Uh-huh.
Lorraine Kelly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the king.
No, more important than that. No.
The queen.
Exactly.
The queen of TV.
She's the queen of us, yes. She's joining us on the next edition of Scotland the Drive. Look forward to that. If you've got any things you'd like to talk about, then please send us an email. The email address is scotlandthedrive@gmail.com. And we have had a few in. Norman, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts. And I'll get back to you on, he was talking about financing, how they get the car and leases, etc. I've gone most ways between and leasing the car, particularly an electric car. I would say lease it or contract hire it. Don't buy it.
We'll hear the full story of you and your EV in a future edition.
Indeed.
But in the meantime, that's all for this edition, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Scotland the Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.